Hi, my name is Louise Jones, also known as Ouizi. I'm an artist and muralist from Detroit. Today I'm going to show you how to make a painting like I do my murals. So for this project, you're going to need a canvas, a palette, anything that is sturdy or is water repellent. Rag or paper towel to clean your brushes, water to clean your brushes, and water to dilute your paint, a smartphone, an assortment of brushes. You don't need this many, but I just brought my entire arsenal, just in case. Some paint. The box comes with an assortment of colors, aside from just the primary colors, so you should be good with just the box. Today we're going to use a grid to transfer an image onto the canvas. First, we're going to pick the image. If you want, you can go out and take a photo of a flower. You want to make sure that the photo has a solid background. Black is preferred. You can do the easier thing, which is going online and just Googling your favorite flower with solid background or with dark background. This is the photo that I chose. We're going to be manipulating it to the point where it doesn't look like this anymore. So you don't want to copy it exactly. That's not what we're going to do. We're just going to be using it as inspiration. So now that you've picked your image, we're going to put the grid on the canvas. The technique that I'm teaching you today is a variation on using a grid to transfer an image onto a canvas. But in this method, you're going to create your own abstract pattern in order to do that. And that allows you to get rid of the ruler and not have to make measurements, and it's more of a fun and relaxed way of doing the grid method. You're gonna pick your background color. I'm gonna go with a green. To get it to go a little darker, you can add a little bit of red to it. Red is my favorite color this week. We're gonna use the biggest brush and we're just gonna cover the whole canvas with one color. And then I'm going to get a smaller brush and put some random marks all over the canvas. And this is sort of where the abstract part comes in. This is the method that I use to create my murals, whether they be 5 stories or 8 stories. Putting down the abstract marks is so open-ended. All you have to worry about at this point is making sure that there's even marks throughout the canvas, just because we're gonna use this to map out the painting. Some people use this method and they draw smiley faces. You can even write your name. So it's really up to you. I just like to do the abstract background because then later on I don't have to paint over all of the marks, but some people paint over all of the marks and just have a solid background. This part is just kind of about having fun and about, you know, putting this drawing onto the surface. And I will explain more in depth in a minute. So I've started with one color, but I want to add one more color so that there's even more information on here. Just fill it in as best as you can. Next, we're going to take a photo of it. I'm going to go into my app, PhotoLeap. If you haven't already downloaded PhotoLeap, go ahead and do that. It's free. And add a new creation and click on the photo that you chose. And if it's not already cropped to size, you want to go to the crop button, and then you're going to go to fixed ratios on the bottom, and you're going to click 5:4. With 2 fingers, you're going to adjust that until it's the right size. Press the check mark when you're done with that, and then on the top right, there's a plus sign, and you want to click that, and you want to click image, and you want to go to the image that you took of your canvas, click blending on the bottom, scroll to soft light. When you do that, the image of the abstract canvas will become transparent, and then you'll only see the marks. So now you're going to press the top right button and you want to save that, then you should be ready to paint. We're going to use the image that we just made on PhotoLeap to put the drawing onto the canvas. I'm going to start with a fresh dab of white paint. And now this is sort of the hard part, but you're gonna look at your image and you're gonna look at the canvas, sketch it out according to where the marks are. and just plot it out wherever you see the image. It goes like this, through the heart, and then down. Really, you just have to trust that your abstract marks are pretty much doing all the work for you. And when you get lost, you just go down to the next mark and be like, okay, that's where another line is, and then you just keep going. And then eventually the lines will connect. Certain areas, there's no marks on the canvas to indicate it, but you can see that the line is in between two marks. So just go the middle of that, and then keep going. And just make sure that you get the edges of everything. So you're just sort of doing the outline right now. Don't worry about the little details. You just want to get the general shape of everything. Okay, so we're gonna let it dry all the way, and then we're gonna start painting it in with colors. When you're picking out the colors, just don't worry too much about getting every single color that you see. We're just trying to go for an impressionistic approach to this image. We're not trying to go for full realism. A little goes a long way. So I'm gonna mix up a sort of peachy yellow. Peach is usually orange with a lot of white in it, so I'm just gonna mix up a little bit of orange over here. I'm mixing the light color, the medium color, and a dark color, which is going to be sort of like a true orange. If the color is too bright, you can add a little bit of a darker color. Like I usually have blue on hand because it said that like a true oil painter doesn't ever use black, really, only uses the main primary color. So I like to follow that. That kind of darkens up the color and makes it more muddy, which is sort of more true to what the image is. I usually start from dark to light just because it's easier to add a light color on top of a dark color. So I'm just going around filling everything in kind of loosely. This is kind of the part where I feel like you can take as much time as you need and just enjoy the process. At this point, I'm still working with the sketch, with the abstract marks in the background, but if you want to switch over to your original photo, it might be easier to see sort of what's going on there without all the marks. So I'm gonna do that. And you can get as detailed as you want or go as loose as you want. In some areas, you are gonna have to go over them twice because maybe the background is showing through, and that's totally okay. I'm gonna add the center. While that is drying, I might paint in the leaves, and I'm going to put a little bit of green on my canvas. I'm just gonna take the background green that I used and add some red and yellow to make it darker and yellower, just so it stands out from the background. And I'm just gonna paint it in one solid color for now. Now the stem. So now we're going to let it dry. I'm gonna go in with a flat brush because with a flat brush you can do both large areas and also line work. So you can get like this width, but you can also get the skinny part. So I really like that for detail stuff. I'm gonna just focus on the highlights and the lowlights at this point. This is sort of your last pass for the painting. And then after this, we're gonna move on to the background. Just going wherever there's like a really light spot. Just going over that one last time. Make sure to get all of the folds. That is sort of where you want the most attention because that will define the flower the most. And for those that want to try a little bit more of a challenge, you can do a little bit of dry brushing in some areas to get like a nice blend, and that's just have it heavily loaded but not too wet, and then you just want to drag the brush across the canvas and sort of lift it off. Don't worry about going over the edges because we're going to touch up the background after this. I'm pretty happy with it so far. I'm just going to put in the low lights and then fill in the leaves, and then I think I'm ready for the background. For this, I'm going to use the tiny brush because the low lights tend to be sort of more, definitely smaller details. You don't want to go too hard on the dark areas because then it will feel really heavy. So I'm just going to go in here and touch up, the areas around the center. That's definitely the darkest area. This sort of is something that you can make up if you wanted to, just darken the contrast where you feel like it needs. Sometimes, you can go off script, and that's fine. And then with a tiny brush, get a really light leaf color. Add some more white and yellow to it, and just add a few veins, and I'm ready to move on to the background. The abstraction part of floral abstraction is the background, and I am just going to go into that green and cover up some of those lines that you made initially. This is really, really loose. You don't have to do it any which way. Sometimes I'll just even take a palette knife and I'll just slap paint on the background, whichever color is near me or whichever color I have, and just go around and touch up all of those marks. I am happy with it. I'm just gonna say it's done, and I'm gonna put my signature down here. So that's the very last step. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you learned a few tips and tricks, and I hope that you have fun trying this at home. Do not let perfection be your enemy.